Okay, I'll do another video considering entitled people like, oh, Heidi and Frank Jones, even, or Deb Mears, or I don't know, Michael Long, or other wankers of people, or people where I live, in the area I live, and so forth. It must be a leftist thing. Oh, where did he grow up? Well, for starters, it's none of your business, and if you want to keep going down the path of breaking confidentiality and privacy laws, I'll keep ringing the police. By the way, the organisation that said they're going to rally around friends and family, I said, no, you're not, because I was lied about. Yeah, I'm still saying I wasn't suicidal because I've never been suicidal. Ever. So, again, yeah, you're breaking laws for 9 years, and I want my goddamn fucking money back, because where did I grow up? Well, where did I live the longest period of my entire life was Surrey Hills and Rushcutters Bay is the two longest periods I've ever lived anywhere. But I'm not going to keep explaining this. I didn't grow up in one area. Like, I'm not some plebetarian housing commission loser that lived in one area. And their parents, that's the thing, that's what you affiliate with housing commission. Housing commission people, their parents live in one area, their children live in one area, and they're always in that one area. They don't move and evolve. And I'm going to get my charger. So, where did he grow up? That's insane to even start this shit. Let me get my charger. Before this goes, and I'm going to restart the video again. So, for starters, it's breaking confidentiality and privacy and prying laws. It's no one's business except for the government departments that need to know, like immigration, but they've already got the information from me. And I didn't grow up in Tamworth. People say I grew up in Tamworth, like my mother, so she must be up to a scam. Because if living in an area for 6 years means you grew up there, then wow, that's a bit insane. So, again, I did live in Tamworth for 6 years. That's right. I've not denied that. And I lived on a street surrounded by multimillionaires, yeah. I did, whether my mother wants to admit it or not. Never said she was one. But Marge, her neighbour, yeah, mega rich. Don't have to bring this up, but apparently because I lived around affluent people growing up, yeah. Seriously, the Morbies, Mum's other neighbour, Michael Bly, the other neighbour, yeah. So, I lived there for 6 years. Mum moved there, that's Mum's house. Dad's house is at Empire Bay. Mum's house is in Tamworth, we've got a horse stud there. Dad's house at Empire Bay, which you got the bay in front, you got the beach behind. Like my grandparents, they moved to Blacktown in 1962. These idiots, like, because they're trying to look at, oh, he said he grew up with horses. It's like, that's right, I did. So they expect me to be from the country. It's like, you're insane. You're insane. Because people who had money had horses in Sydney, and we had horses in Sydney. We had a horse stud in Rooty Hill, in Dunsmore Street, Rooty Hill, when I grew up. There was a built-up area, walking distance to, well, you had coffee shops, milk bars, and a train station. I went to St. Aidan's in Rooty Hill. Then my mother moved and went up there, and I did 2 years of primary school that was left at a school just down the road from where I lived. Then I went to high school there, and I did 4 years of high school, and then I moved back to Sydney. Big deal. I was in an area for 6 years. So I was in an area for 6 years, and I didn't spend one holiday except for October in that area. So all the holidays were spent back home in Sydney, plus all the weekends. Like I said, all our family was still living in Sydney. Like, if I have to keep giving a rundown from people, this is so disrespectful. Lola May, my grandmother, okay, Mum's cousin still lives in Leichhardt. Brian Keegan still lives in the house that he grew up in. That's his parents' house, like his father's Brian Sr., my nan's brother. My mother, when she was a young kid, before she was about 7, they were still living in 90 Mansfield Street. My grandfather, Reginald George Purdy, used to ride his horse down the other end of Balmain. Reg Purdy's from Balmain, Roselle. Lola Keegan, my grandmother, she's born in Wellington, but her family moved to Leichhardt, her parents moved to Leichhardt when she was about 6 years of age. Her family's from Sydney. So on my nan Lola's side of the family, they are from, because I asked Nan once, I said, so why did you end up in Wellington? She goes, the racing industry. Because the racing industry. My father was a jockey. Your great-grandfather's a jockey. So grandfather Keegan, Arthur Keegan's a jockey. Mum's a seamstress. She was a dressmaker, designer. So she could get work anywhere. But Dad was a jockey. So they went to Wellington. She goes, but just my family from her Nan's family. Nan said she got family from the eastern suburbs. That's where she used to go to see her cousin Gary Williams. So Gary Williams, which I've talked about. Uncle Fred's from Bellevue Hill. So Nan's great uncle. But they were back and forth. She said, my family's from the city, but we had the horses, like they had gallopers. So they bred gallopers, and they had the gallopers in Wellington. So Wellington, New South Wales. But Nan grew up in Leichhardt. So my grandmother grew up on Piper Street, Leichhardt. The house on Piper Street, Leichhardt was owned by Uncle Fred, whose real name's Leo Patrick Sayer. So, but Leo Patrick Sayer grew up, like even he was doing Bellevue Hill in his 20s. Like, I've already said this. Like when we were kids, yeah, I'm from the suburbs, but the suburbs were very different then. I wouldn't live there now. The suburbs, like we had land in the suburbs. It was a stunning, we had a beautiful horse stud, like a great 80s suburb. We didn't grow up in some shitty little block. You know, we had land 10 minutes from Parramatta. I keep repeating this to people, but they don't want to accept the facts. The facts are the facts. I didn't grow up in Tamworth, but I did live there for 6 years. I did live in, Rooty Hill, 10 minutes from Parramatta. We did have a horse stud. But I have lived most of my life in the city. Don't know what it's like to live outside the city. You don't really want to. Nanny's from Leichhardt, Lola. She's from Leichhardt. Reg is from Balmain Roselle. Reg's father, Keith Purdy's from Balmain Roselle. Reg's grandfather, I think, is it Charles or George? Sorry, George. Anyway, Balmain Roselle. 3 generations Balmain Roselle. My grandfather. This is ridiculous. I've had to keep repeating myself because some idiots keep going, oh, they're from Tamworth. I'm like, that's insane. That's insane to say we're from Tamworth when no one heard of Tamworth in my family before 1989. So 10 years after I was born. No one heard about Tamworth before 1989. It's an area that my mother went to for a weekend holiday. She liked it and she bought a house there. Then come back to Sydney 4 months later, sold the place that we had in Sydney that my father gave her in a divorce, and she moved to recreate her life. So 10 years after I was born. Seriously. This is a joke, right? Like, I've even had to go for immigration, continuously bashing my head against the wall, and I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to tell you people continuously, for 9 years you've cut my salary, you've caused me from return to work or whatever like this. So sitting back, you've exacerbated health conditions from 2007 and 2010, so you can pay for those damages. There's pain and suffering, there's duress, there's future damage. You've affected my savings of well over 100,000. You've affected my assets and belongings, and you're going to pay it. I don't give a shit. I really don't care about fucking immigration. Seriously, I didn't grow up with some friggin' dragged up like my fucking loser cousins. Like I said, we had a bedroom at Dad's growing up. Even when Dad lived still in Blacksland, so in the Blue Mountains, before he moved to Empire Bay, when he was still with Vidette. Or was still living in Woody Hill then. But when Mum moved to Tamworth, Dad's lived at Empire Bay just as long. I mean, Dad moved to Empire Bay in 1993? In Hillcrest Road there. Dad's father's from Botany Bay. My grandfather, which is where I get my ethnic look from, Stanley Fleming. So remember, I'm a Fleming, not a Rackley. There's two different people. So Stanley Fleming he's from Botany Bay, but he was raised by Edith Kavanagh. He never knew his parents. Now, I know what his wife's brother, so my nana Ruby, her brother Uncle George told me. And then Uncle George came and stayed with me in Surrey Hills. And I said, look, we know Pop's ethnic, but you've got any idea what nationality he was? Because look at me. Like, seriously, I throw different looks. And like we've said, like even... I was talking to Fiona the other day, and I'm like, oh God, didn't Meredith get Pop's olive skin and Nan's blue eyes and the thick hair, like the thick Fleming hair? They've got thick, wavy hair, gypsy hair. They do. They've got the Flemings are all dark features. Naturally black hair, thick black hair, frizzy untamable hair, dark olive skin. That's the Flemings. And I am a Fleming. I'm not a Rackley. I look like a Fleming. That's why I look the way I look. And I keep having to explain this even in America. Well, I mean, American immigration's so stupid. Oh, no, fuck, they must be left. To be that dumb, they have to be left. To be so stupid. Because you have to keep explaining yourself. It's like, but we've already explained this. It's like putting up with deadbeat tickets from the countries that the area that my mother moved to, and I've already explained this. I'm not related to her second husband. You know, oh, how come, your dad's bald and short and fat? I'm like, no, he's not. That's my stepfather. My dad isn't. But now my dad, of course, Mark Fleming, now he's almost 70. He's, poor thing. He's had all these health problems. The Fleming male curse, I guess. And, yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. I've literally had people stalk my social media with like, oh, he's got other people's photos on his social media. I'm like, no, I don't. Sam Delati was one of these people. I'm like, that's my cousin. That's my cousin. Like, oh, that's not your cousin, it's Lebanese. I'm like, that's right. That's my cousin. My cousin is Lebanese. That's my cousin. Literally. Have had this for 9 years. So Christy Saruni is my cousin. That's my dad's younger sister, Aunt Linda's daughter. So therefore her children, Addison, Connor and Jaden Saruni, they're my second cousins. Jessica Pincham, okay, her daughter from, I was talking to Uncle Tony the other night, and she's got other children. But I just remember when she was with her first, I remember when she was with Haysam. Haysam's lovely. I always thought they were going to get married. Haysam's the Islamic guy that my cousin was with for a very, very, very long time. Loved Haysam. And then she got with Chris, and Chris is the Brazilian. And so she had a daughter with Chris, the Brazilian guy. So Liliana is part Brazilian. That's my second cousin. So everything I've said, even on mum's side, when I've showed people, I was like, well, my mum's younger sister, her husband's Polish. His grandmother was Russian. His grandfather's Polish. His auntie Nadia is Macedonian. They don't believe me. I'm like, what do you think I'm making this shit up? Richard Michalski is my uncle. Marion Michalski, freaking bitch, whatever. We'll always argue now after the last 9 years, I think. Mum's youngest sister, her husband. What do you think my cousins? Bradley Michalski, Luke Michalski, Hayden Michalski. They're my cousins. So, yeah. Like, these people really do believe that I've grown up in some country sort of environment. I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't. But I did live there for 6 years. Mum, when she was still working for Ian Scholl back in the city, I've actually said the truth to all these wankers of organisations, and they didn't stop in the last 9 years. I'm like, but you're an idiot. Like, I'm doing these videos, and it's like, you're an idiot. You people look dumb. Like, I'm walking, like, you're laughing at me. I'm like, but you're an idiot. You're gaslighting me. You look like a fucking moron. Mum's boss since she was 16 was Ian Schollback. Ian Schollback, so when Mum ended up moving up from being junior secretary or whatever, and worked her way up, and she became a paralegal. Mum was a paralegal, I think it was Bev Jones? Oh, I can't remember her last name, but back when she was with Lindsay, and they worked in the same legal firm together, she was gorgeous. I remember when she was with Lindsay, she was really rich. I remember that. So Mum's really close friend, Bev, back when we still lived in Sydney. And Margie Clay was Mum's junior secretary. So back in those days, I remember like Bev, her husband was like, they had a big property developer, her husband Lindsay. And God, she used to take hire cars out to our place. Even then, like, I used to love her. I adored her. She adored Moo, Amanda, but I adored Bev. And that was Mum's close friend then. I didn't see Bev at Mum's 50th. I didn't turn up to Mum's 50th, but I know Bev turned up to it. I think she's dating a copper or something now. Oh no, apparently she hasn't got, Mum's like, oh, she hasn't got any money anymore. I'm like, oh, well, that's life, but she was in the 80s, they were loaded, with her first husband, anyway. And, yeah, so that was with Ian Schollback. Ian Schollback was like an uncle to Amanda and myself. I don't know how Amanda doesn't remember that. I think Mum taught his children how to ride horses, which I think Brendan Schollback, the adopted son, I'm sure he told me that Mum taught him how to ride horses when they were kids. So anyway, Mum worked her way up, and Margie Clay was Mum's junior secretary. And Margie Clay would tell you this. So when Amanda and myself was born, Ian Schollback, like people actually even thought Ian Schollback was our father in the office. There was these rumours going around because how distraught he was that Amanda and myself were born premature. Even Trevor, one of the other barristers in the law firm, Margie would tell the story. She said there was a function. And Trevor walked in and said, oh, the twins, oh, God, I've missed this live, the 80s. So we had so much money. So this is exactly what happened. So Trevor walked in and said, oh, the twins are fine. And Ian Shelback used to scream and yell like you wouldn't believe. You could hear him from Clifton Gardens all the way to Mossman Mills. And he said, fine. This is what the stories we grew up with. They were 13 weeks premature. Don't tell me they're fine. And that's what... Ask Margie Clay. Margie Clay's with Ross Goodridge now, another barrister. Look up Ross Goodridge, a barrister. Go and ask Margie Clay. Margie Clay was Mum's junior secretary. She would say, yes, I've known the twins since before they were born. I was their mother's junior secretary. Go ask her, because I'm not lying. So then Mum's closest friend was Diane Shelback from Clifton Gardens, near Mossman. Diane was like an auntie to us growing up. I went to her funeral in October 2005. That's the last time I saw their adopted son, Brendan Shelback. I've already told these people how I grew up. You think I grew up in a different type of lifestyle. I only don't speak with my mother, and it's not because of what people think, but it's got to do with I don't want to be affiliated with her second husband's family. Because of the last 9 years I've been affiliated with, wrongly identified as being related to a second husband's family, I'm furious. I'm absolutely furious. So I don't have anything to do with it because of that. Has nothing to do with the past. Oh, people want me to have counselling because you've got to deal with the trauma, deal with your mother and what happened in the past. I'm like, what the fucking bullshit are you on about? The only issues I have is caused in the last 9 years since 2015, you moron. There's nothing in the past. Oh, next minute I was bullied at high school. Really? Was I? Do I look like somebody that... Wait, if I was bullied at high school, I'm not going to say I wasn't, because if I was, then it's a criminal matter. So let's deal with it like that. But do I look like a character of a person that would give a shit if I even was bullied by some country deadbeat loser? Like, do I look like someone that would really care? Or do I look like someone that would walk off and go play your field, you fucking loser? Yeah, tell me how, where are you from again? Oh, you're born here. Where's your parents from? Oh, they're born here too. And your grandparents? My mother's born in Darlinghurst. My grandparents are from the inner city. My dad's father's from Botany Bay. My dad's mother's from Drummoyne, Abbotsford. My mum's mother is from Leichhardt. My mum's father's from Balmain. My mum was a paralegal. My dad's a builder. What's yours? A farmer? Yeah. So do I look like the kind of person that would, if I was bullied, can't you see exactly how I would respond to bullies if I was bullied? Do I look like I would care if I was? So it doesn't make any sense what people are saying, because I definitely wouldn't care if I was bullied. I just look at country people and say, look at them though, yeah, I lived there for 6 years. You're a fucking loser. I mean, I wouldn't say that to Marge, Mum's neighbour, because I love Marge. I absolutely adore Marge. She's this eccentric lady that rides around on a scooter with her. She doesn't leave the house before she's got a ton of slap on her face. I love her. She's like, oh, I always wanted to go and have martinis with her. She's fabulous. She owned all these expensive prize bulls whenever she was a multi-millionaire, and then she got left all this money. So she was already a multi-millionaire, and she got left like 9 million. She says, I'm going to turn all this into parkland. It was fabulous. And she turned her property into parkland. It was stunning. And I'm like, oh, God, I love Marge. And before, she doesn't leave the house without putty filler all over her face, like the most stunning makeup all over her face. She's just fabulous. Mum's other neighbour, which is the Morbies, Esther, fabulous. Absolutely loved them. You know, used to like, she was like, when we catching up, I remember she used to come over and bring champagne over the mums. Like, you know, what's Mr. Morby wasn't home. So I don't know where all these troubles started. Like, seriously, idiots, like I said, there was some trouble calls from 2016 to 2018, but you've got wrong information. You've got a lot of wrong information. The bullshit that you've played doesn't work. It didn't work. Okay? The crap you've got is wrong. So anyway, Esther was lovely growing up. For 6 years that I knew her from, I went back home to Sydney. God, I remember when Amanda we went to different high schools after 95. And I remember when Amanda was finishing year 12 and we ran out of champagne. She said, I'll bring some more. Some more over. We're chilling out with Esther and, God, what was her husband? Oh, God. when he was home, you were like, oh God, we're not going to see you for a while because Mr. Morby was home. Yeah, God. And then Mum's other friggin' neighbour, Michael Bly. God, I remember when I got my license, I did my driving test around Blacktown and the Central Coast. And then when I was up in Tamworth on holidays, Mum's like, well, why don't you go and get your P's here? It'll be easier to get them here than back in Sydney. So you've already done your driving test around Sydney. So I was like, oh, okay.